Bună ziua, jó napot kívánok! Good afternoon to all who have just joined our webinar. I think it is time to officially start it. So I would like to say a warm welcome to all the participants, to all the panelists, and to the co-organizers of this webinar, the free ed project partners, and first of all, Alpár Ferenc Salamon, the director of the Apáczai Teacher Training Center. Alpár, I give you the microphone. You can also say a welcome to our participants.
Thank you very much, Csilla. Warm greetings to everybody. I wouldn't like to talk too much, but it's a huge honor to greet you again, the fourth time at our webinars, and I hope that, as in the previous ones, you will leave this meeting with lots and lots of novelties and lots of interesting things learned. So have a nice afternoon, and Csilla, back to you.
Thank you a lot. And as Alpár mentioned, this is the fourth one in a series of webinars organized within the Free Ed Erasmus Plus project. And now let me introduce shortly, or greet at least at this point, our panelists. First of all, our keynote speaker, Tiina Mäkelä from Finland, Janika Leoste from the Tallinn University, Aczél Dóra, who will shortly join us, I'm sure. She's from Transylvania. Sini Kuha, a teacher from Finland. And Balázs Koren, a teacher from Hungary. We are really honored that you joined our webinars. You are all great thinkers, great innovators. We are really proud to have you among us, and we are looking forward to learning lots of new things from you. Now I will quickly share my screen to present you very shortly the context of this webinar, which is this Erasmus Plus project. It moves, my slides move a bit slowly, but they are going to move, I'm sure, sooner or later. Yes. Okay, so what I would like to draw your attention to is the first products or the first results in our project that you can, all of them, reach through our website. Our website is really easy to remember, freeed.eu, and this project has been developed by 5 partners from 4 countries. The Jyväskylä University from Finland, the Apáczai János Teacher Training Center from Miercurea, Romania, the Spectrum Educational Center, an educational NGO that I am representing right now, the Tallinn University, and Johannes Kepler University from Linz. The very first product that I would like to draw your attention upon is a so-called vision book, which is a framework for hybrid education. We tried to put together the various experience of teachers from all these 4 countries during the COVID era, and these teachers experience challenges, but also solutions they found for hybrid education. We present also some practical examples of activities, projects implemented in hybrid format. This book can be downloaded from our project's website. We actually kindly ask you to download it. My colleagues are going to put the direct link to the chat. And we also kindly ask you that in the feedback form that you are going to complete, that we kindly ask you to complete after the webinar, try to give feedback also on this publication. You can see here the table of contents, but once you download it, obviously, you will see, you will be able to see more of it. Then we have this webinar series, as Alpár has mentioned. This is the 4th webinar. We are going to have a 5th one, which will happen in September 2022. We will soon publish the specific date of this webinar, but even until then, I can tell you the topic. It's yet another interesting topic. well-being of teachers and cooperation among teachers, what risks we have to take, and we are happy to take sometimes as teachers, how we innovate our practices and how we can learn from each other. You can subscribe to this webinar right now. Once we publish the date, you will be informed about the exact date, and in case the date is not convenient with you, you can always unsubscribe, obviously. Then in the same project, we are developing a learning platform, an in-service training platform for teachers, in fact. I can tell you that this platform, the content of the platform has mostly been developed. We are now testing it among us, among the partnership. But if you would like to try it out, I've displayed here the join code. You can access the course at the web address shown on the screen, and this will also be shared by my colleagues. And if you would like to have a glimpse, you can use the join code. Please notice that this is yet in test version. Obviously, we are thankful if you give any feedback to us. You can send feedback directly in the platform, or also to our email addresses accessible through our website. The topics of the training will be as seen on my screen. There are 8 modules in this platform, and we hope that it will be up and running and available in its final format from September. That was all on my behalf. If you have any questions or comments, you can always put them into the chat. We also encourage you to ask questions using the questions and answers function button. If you have questions to our presenters, it's better to put them or to ask them through this function, questions and answers. It's easier to track questions than those put in chat. Those who would like to have interpretation, you can use the interpretation, sorry, the interpretation button, and choose Hungarian or Romanian language, the one that you would like to listen the presentations in. During the presentations, you can ask your questions, but you can also ask your questions after that. Those attendees who would like to ask voice questions, or who can't, for certain reason, write in chat, raise your hands and we can give you panelist rights, so we can give you voice. Currently, this event happens in a Zoom webinar format, which means that attendees don't have voice and don't have image. Only the panelists, the speakers have. Dora, you've arrived in the meantime. I would like to say a welcome to you as well. Don't worry at all, you're perfectly on time. My colleagues can communicate with you. If you have any message to them, just send them a chat message. You can ask all administrative questions to Erika Bot and Katalin Ferenc Salamon. You can see their names together with the Spectrum logo.
Thank you very much. Sorry, just coming from a camp.
Yes, you're doing camps all the time. Your life is a camp. It's so easy for you. Thank you. I'm really happy you're here. And then I would like to invite on the floor our first speaker, the keynote speaker, Tiina Mäkelä. I'm still not sure I'm pronouncing right all the A's in your in your name. Tiina is a postdoctoral researcher at the Finnish Institute for Educational Research, an institution belonging to the University of Jyväskylä, Finland. And she's a real expert in the topic of our webinar, Innovative Learning Environments. Thank you, Tiina, for accepting our invitation. And I give you the right to share your screen and start your presentation.
Okay, thank you. Just a moment, I put this slideshow on. Can you confirm you can see everything? Yes. Okay. So really nice to be here with so many people we can't see, but we can sense. So my topic is about the impact of COVID-19 on schools. I'm a specialist on learning environment design, learning environment co-design in particular, and in my research I always focus on both learning and well-being. I think you can't really separate these two things. And well, this is just shortly our research group, Innovative Learning Environments. Some of my colleagues you might already know from previous and forthcoming presentations. And you can see we work with many different projects related to STEAM and learning environments. Okay, but this research that I'm going to present at this time is named as Co-Designing Learning Environments Conducive to Learning and Wellbeing. This is funded by the Finnish Foundation for Municipal Development. We have also some funds from the National Agency for Education and from our university. And here the objective is first develop some tools for gathering both teachers and learners' ideas of good learning environments. And on the other hand, we want to understand teachers and learners' perceptions. What do they think are good learning environments to learn and teach and learn and be well? I'm showing, when I talk about the learning environments, what do I need? What do I mean? It's a complex interaction between the psychosocial learning environment, the interaction between people, and on the other hand, there's technology-enhanced physical learning environment that influence one another. They are in interplay. And when we talk about learning and well-being, we are interested in both, well, in all physical, cognitive, emotional, and social aspects of both learning and well-being. So this is more or less the concept of learning and well-being and learning environments. This is a little complex model, but this is the learning environment design model that we are using in our research. I'm not going to talk about all details, but here you can see in the middle the flexibility and functionality as a very centric aspect guiding the design. And then on the other hand, you can see the pairs commonality balanced with individuality. Then you can see comfort balanced with health and conventionality balanced with novelty. So there are these three balancing pairs that you should consider when you think of good learning environments. This is to guide the learning environment design. Well, this is one example of the recent publications if you're interested in knowing more about the research. Okay, but then around 2 years ago, we came to this problem that we all faced, that oops, learning environments might be something else, not only what we traditionally thought is a learning environment, and this whole thing with blended and hybrid learning environments, combining on-site and online learning. And we noticed, for instance, we never spoke about home as a learning environment, which is actually, I mean, we learn and we teach at home anyways, but we didn't really consider it in the design. And then we thought, is there something else that COVID-19 somehow brought into the light that we had not thought before? So we thought there's a need to update this framework. And we were also interested in both learner and teacher perspectives. Okay, these are just some pictures of our work as a researchers recent years. Sometimes we've been able to go to school, sometimes not, and we've been hybrid and international, and we've been trying all different ways of interacting with students. Okay, but now when we realized we need to update our know-how, we asked what are those characteristics that we should add to this framework. And we started this work by asking 10 Finnish experts who reviewed the old framework, and then they started proposing new items that should be added to the framework. And we had experts from different levels of education and with different profiles, architects and teachers and school directors and so on. And well, the results are unfortunately still in Finnish, but we're going to publish more results soon in English. But yeah, and then based on this work, at the moment we've been working with the schools. Teachers have been doing a questionnaire that we ask about their preferred and experienced learning environments, trying to understand what are maybe the weak points at learning environments that should be developed. And so I can say something about these initial results. We have nine Finnish educational institutions that have participated, and like 150 teachers at the moment from Finland. Okay, so here you can see the whole updated framework. I'm not going to talk about each detail, but I'm going to give you some examples of aspects that we updated. And the first aspect, communality, we wanted to pay attention on these aspects when you are doing remote learning, remote teaching. This is particularly important, and this is something that is often lacking. And also when after distant period, when you go back to school, you really have to take care of these communality aspects. And there's surely lots of work to do still with our children and young people to make sure that there's this shared vision and sense of belonging and things like that. We also added here some elements for safety, such as safe distance. We didn't really think of it, but we thought it's something that should be considered also in the future. We never know what will happen in the future, and on the other hand, to make sure, well, there are flus every year, and so maybe we should be more prepared to have more distance when needed. So it was added to this framework. The safe distance thing is, for instance, how to design different working areas, separating compartments if needed, or how to do, well, maybe all of us have some experience already, how to do this rotation, half of the kids at school, half of the kids at home, and so on. We are still learning how to do it efficiently. Okay, and some other aspects, for instance, teacher visibility. It's highlighted that this is not only that teacher-led instruction, but this is about having teachers available and there, both in physical and virtual learning environments. It's very important that students know how to ask for help and contact their teachers. Okay, so this was the communality aspect, and now something about the individuality aspects. One very important aspect that we've been discussing now during the pandemic is the self-regulation, self-regulated learning. It's really required when you work on distance or in hybrid mode. And this is not, shouldn't take it for granted. It depends on the age of the kids, but also there are individual differences, whether they can self-direct themselves or whether they have these self-regulation skills. And this is something that we should really work so that if they need to work independently, that they could be doing so. We have experiences in Finland that not even high school students have this skill of self-regulating, waking up in the morning without any help and so on. So there's not work to do with this and all these aspects, of course. Well, personalized learning is actually, when we talk about the hybrid learning, it can offer more possibilities to choose where and how to learn. We think it's good that at times students can, for one reason or another, choose to study from home, for instance, and we would be happy if this were continuing also in the future. It's a controversial issue and there's lots of discussion for that, but we think it's good. And then there are aspects such as not having noise disturbance or distractions. This is very important, no matter whether you're at home or at school. How to get rid of the too much social media or noise also. And the privacy is equally important, no matter whether we are physically at school or working online. For instance, the idea of having neutral backgrounds when using video connection to safeguard the privacy. Okay, now we go into the comfort. I think I might have very little time left, but in terms of comfort. These are also aspects that are equally important in both in home and educational environments. And aspects that when we've been working from home, we also noticed that the ergonomics and things like that are important also at home. And this is also important in virtual environments, that the virtual environments are also pleasant. Yeah, for instance, the colors we use are pleasant for us. One very important aspect in this model is the presence of nature. And this is something we've been discussing now, like how to get more nature if there's no real nature around us. And this one picture here is actually, it's a Northern Lights installation, just an idea of how virtual reality or pictures can be used to present the nature. You can have a Northern Lights in Southern Europe with this technique. So just an idea. Okay, now we're going already to the health aspects. Here, the cleanliness and hygiene, it's something that we really took it for granted because, well, we thought, at least in Finland, that this is already fixed. But now we've been taking more attention of it, and this is something that we hope also that in the future we would wash our hands more regularly, and some of the things that we've been doing during these years that we would continue, because it might also prevent from other illnesses and so on. And then we also added there the healthcare provisions, that there should be access to different healthcare services, both for teachers and for students, an easy aspect. Okay, and we know physical exercise, rest and leisure time are very important both for learning and well-being, no matter whether we study from home or teach from home or are at school. So this is something that shouldn't be forgotten. Okay, now we're going to the novelty aspect. I'll try to be quick. Well, here we all know that there's no excuses anymore for not using technology. And as another novel aspect, we added to the framework outdoor learning. Maybe in Finland, because of the weather, it hasn't been really used a lot, but now we're finding new ways to learn outside. And yeah, there's a tradition of outdoor learning, but not in the mainstream education. So this is something that we hope that would continue in the future. So just some ideas of the educational design elements. Yeah, I'm also showing some pictures from Finnish schools, so you can see how it looks like a little bit. Okay, now we go to conventionality aspects. This is kind of reminding that not everything old is bad, and there are, for instance, libraries, museums, concert halls, non-formal education that should be also connected to formal learning. And for instance, use of books is equally important. For instance, to reduce screen time, it's good to combine technology with the paper. Okay. And this is the final aspect, and I'm finishing. Flexibility and functionality. As I mentioned in the beginning, this is the key when we design learning environments, that there's this versatility and flexibility, adaptability, modifiability, however you want to call it, that we respond to these different needs, individual needs, and also needs that comes, such as pandemic, that we are able to adapt to different circumstances. And here in this category, there's also the importance of support for the use of spaces and ICT. Actually, in our studies with our Finnish teachers, they always highlight more the importance of support. We have technology and hardware and software, but if we don't have proper support, it's really difficult to be functional, let's say. Okay. Right. So this was the model framework, kind of theoretical maybe, but showing you the the model for designing learning environments conducive to learning and well-being. I can share these slides later on because there are lots of text. So if you are interested in reading it more carefully, you can have a look on it. Okay, thank you, everybody. And there's lots of literature as well for your reading.
Thank you, Tiina. It's really such a complex framework you're thinking about when designing schools. My very first question, but that's not a real question, would be if these pictures you showed us are real schools or just 3D plans of some future schools, but I know they are real. We are really happy that there are schools in the world, and I'm sure that in other countries there are innovative teachers and school leaders who try to make the most out of their learning environment. But by the time our first question arrives from the audience, I encourage everyone to ask questions to Tiina, because she was really using her time so well that we have a couple of minutes for questions and answers. I do have a question. If it's too difficult, you can just say that pass. So I'm asking you, Tiina, to imagine that you're a teacher in one of those school systems that doesn't put that much emphasis on innovative learning environments, and you get a new group of 11-year-old kids, right? And you will be the home teacher, the class teacher, and you are given a classroom which doesn't have much interesting things in it, just one chair and table for each student and a blackboard. So what would be the first thing you would think about to make this environment friendlier or better or more suited to learning before the kids arrive, and what would you do when they arrived or together with them?
Easy question, easy. I would, like, for real, I wouldn't maybe do anything before the kids arrive. I would use co-design with children. I know in the countries and systems where there's more resources, you can do fancy things, but in fact, it's not so much about the money or resources. It's about the imagination and creativity. And so, and I think we all can have that no matter what our circumstances. And kids have a great potential, 11 years in particular. So I would invite them. I think it would be a good way to start the school year, to start designing the classroom with your kids. And you, if you don't have any monetary resources, you can use, I mean, they're recycling materials. You can find an old sofa and renovate it to your corner. And so you have your classroom maybe as a limit, and you can't really change it, but you can start thinking, painting the walls. Maybe you have to ask the permission from the director, but yeah, he or she will be okay. So you can really do many things when you start co-designing and learning environments with your kids. And I'm sure parents would also be excited in helping in one way or another. So don't give up, and don't think that you can't because you don't have resources or something like that. So just ask your kids.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. I'm asking my colleagues if you can see any other questions. Help me pass the question to Tiina. It seems that there are not questions so far, but you can ask questions on the go. And if Tiina has to leave, because I know she has to leave soon, if you have questions, we can pass them to Tiina. I'm sure that she can find the time to answer your questions. Thank you, Tiina. Congratulations are arriving in chat. Please check them out. Thank you. Nice words are coming to you. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much, Tiina. And I give you the microphone to Alpar to introduce our next presenter.
Thank you, Csilla. Thank you,
Köszönöm szépen, Csilla.
Interesting.
Ez egy nagyon érdekes
presentation.
Előadás volt.
It's a great honor for me to present.
Nagyszerű dolog.
Alpar, sorry, you have to stop for a minute because some mistake happened. The Hungarian interpreter was put by the Zoom to this channel, to my channel, but my colleagues will manage it in a second.
Okay.
Yes, you have to put, or shall I borrow to interpreter 3? Sorry, Boro, it's not your fault.
No problem.
Just some technical issue. Now it should be okay. Try to say something, Boro. Let's see if we can still hear you here. No, all is fine. Arpad, you can go on.
Hey, thank you. Technology. Thank you. So it's a great honor for me to present our next speaker, Janica Leoste. She's a visiting researcher in educational robotics, business collaboration and innovation chief specialist, School of Educational Sciences, University of Tallinn, Estonia. Janica's research focuses on the sustainability of technology, enriched educational innovations, and the didactics of STEM learning at all school levels, including learning integrated with robots in pre-primary education. Today, Janica Leoste will have a lecture with the following topic: supporting social interaction in hybrid learning. Janica, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alpar. Thank you, audience. The previous presentation was so interesting, and I remembered from there when Tiina said, it's not about money. I would say it's about money. So before I would like to start with the slides, I encourage you to think with me, or even maybe write down, what should be the meaning of STEAM? We have used to think that STEAM consists of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. But what if we think from the perspective of the teacher, who should be responsible of implementing the STEAM, the hybrid, the several learning environments? So let's try to imagine, what does it mean for the teacher? So maybe S is for support, for structuring, for scaffolding. Maybe T is for time, the extra time the teacher has to spend, or also technology that works, or technology we have sufficient amount of that. And then when we start thinking of E, maybe the E is for effort, for energy, for encouragement. Every teacher has to go through when they push to starting using something new. And A, of course, is for awareness, that I know that something is there, acceptance that I'm ready to try to use it, and last but not least, maybe the adoption. And now we reach the end. And now we reach the money. So unfortunately, when we talk about technological innovations, there is always a money issue, because we need continuous professional teacher development programs. We need to buy cloud-based service licenses. We need to buy new stuff because technology expires. We are so proud of that. We bring more and more new technology into teaching and learning, but it's not for free. We can always take the blackboard or red board and chalk somewhere, and it's almost free. Also, you have to buy chalk as well. But yeah, that's considered normal. And maybe the only thing I want to remember you from this previous is, when your manager or policy maker or head of your department tells, let's start to implement something new and cool. Something new and cool I'm going to show you in a second. Then you can ask, okay, based on the research, we know that after 2 or 3 years, I will be ready to using it. But whether or if you are ready to pay for that I'm able to use it. So that's the question. But before going to slides, I would, okay, I don't believe in hybrid. I don't believe in online So I would like to introduce you to be physically present in my research lab. And I'm going to share my screen with you so you would be able to come physically to my world. And yeah, you're here. Hello. Do you see me? Let's move closer. Come here. Come here. Okay. Stop. Okay. Okay. So this is telepresented me or my robotic body. It's strange to have a conversation with myself, yes, but yeah, it's still possible. This robot I'm going to explain later on all emotions and possibilities, but I just want to demonstrate one of that. And yeah, it's unethical. It's totally unethical. You can't do it as a human. I'm going to zoom in. Yes. Let's check. Yeah. Okay. Never do that. Never do that. Never zoom into the person 8 times. But otherwise, yeah, you can walk, see around. This is our lab. Unfortunately, there is not so many cool stuff, but at least let's move towards here. There is, I can promise, here is a robotic turtle. Let's check this robotic turtle. It's from UK. It's so fresh that they don't sell it yet. And it's a robotic toy meant for children starting 1 year, or was it 6 months? I don't remember. Anyway, seriously, when you come back from Norway, let's research that stuff. They promised that already baby scan program. So, and there are a lot of more cool stuff. And here, yeah, the bears are not cameras, they're just bears. You know, teddy bears, when you get so stressed and high anxiety of these 200 different robotic and STEAM stuff we have here. But let's move a bit more, and maybe we can see more stuff here. Now you can see yourself. Okay. So I'm going to hang off now, hang up, okay. And what you can do when I now click the hang, I'm going to put the link on the chat. In case you have another camera and in case you have Chrome browser, please just let know others that you started using the robot, and you feel free to try along, and when you have finished, please tell others that now the robot is free and you can start using it. So here's the link, and I will start with my presentation. Okay.
That before you enter the robot, so before you enter the room, let a message in the chat so that we know that somebody is using, because one person can use it at the same time. But I really encourage you to use it. Only those people can try to use it who have double. Oh, no, because actually the participants are not using their cameras, so anyone can try it. Please try it out.
Okay. And to be honest, there is a place when you are already in the robot. Then you can ask 4 friends to join you as well in the journey, but it's not point. I'm not going to go in the deep detail. But let's continue. What's the secret behind everything we do? So there are 3 topics I'm going to cover shortly, but feel free to check the slides later on. There has to be definitely some explanation why Estonia is so successful with the educational innovations. And I would like to share you also a model explaining this innovation and stages and this sort of stuff. And last but not least, I think as the Telepresence robot is most likely the most interesting thing during my presentation, I will be talking mostly about it. And yes, some facts about Estonian educational system. And facts are, figures are talking that we are good in or very good in everything. Let's see what this year results could bring. But so far, as you see, we held quite good positions. And also, as you see, almost 100% of Estonian schools use e-diaries at schools. To give some more characteristics about Estonian education, we have total inclusive education system. Our teachers have a lot of autonomy. And as I mentioned before, all schools use e-solutions. And when you check how Estonian education system looks like, I would say it's just an ordinary European system. Maybe one thing to consider is that we start primary school at age 7, not 6 or 5. And yes, in Estonia, we have really equal education system. So socioeconomic background doesn't matter. And even we have some elite schools, I would say every child has opportunity to enter these elite schools because most of them are also free. And technology has been played a big role always in Estonian education, starting 90s. And thank you, the Tiger Leap program, I can say that like 100% of kindergartens and 100% of schools have equipment, have technology. And to be honest, in this fall, we are going to start with new curriculum for Estonian kindergartens. And there is written that virtual environment should be treated equally to other environments, learning environments, and also robotics should be integrated in learning activities. And yeah, we use digital stuff every day. And Tallinn University, as one of 2 teacher education institutions, also gives the best to design new teaching methods and also propose them for the schools and kindergartens and also for the vocational education. And accidentally, we also happen to be in 250 best universities by some rankings. Now, I would like to share with you my experience really shortly. What happened to me when I was researching how to bring robots in math education. And I can say that the problem is not in innovation, rather the biggest obstacle for my method was curriculum. Because our math curriculum is so stuffed that teachers just didn't have enough time to implement these robotics exercises, because learning with team is slower than learning just with textbook. And based on my 4-year doctoral study, I came up with this type of model, and you definitely see some connection with this team, another meaning of team and this model. So teachers have to go through the phases, and together these phases or stages might take up to 3 or 4 years before they are ready to start using something. And throughout these phases, there are different factors that will be influencing them. When during the awareness, as a teacher, I'm just interested in, yes, let's try it, let's do it. Then during the acceptance phase, I have my responsibility. I have to take the innovation to the classroom, and then I have to see whether it is useful method for teaching my students, whether it's useful for well-being. And finally, if I find it appetizing, then I have to be sure if my institution has enough technological resources, organizational resources, and whether the value is still there. Because if it's just a cool thing, but I don't see the value for teaching or learning, why should I continue using it? And very often, teachers are so enthusiastic of taking part in different European projects. Of course, our free ed project is totally different from other projects. But what happens when the project is over, the teachers also stop using these innovations. And let's move now to the last part. And let's think if there are some technical innovations in the world that could support us to make hybrid learning more engaging, to make online learning more engaging. Whether it's possible to be somewhere while not being there. And one solution might be telepresence. And I have quite fresh experience from this week. It happened on Tuesday when I was physically in Norway in one international meeting. But I promised my colleagues that I will conduct physical workshop in Estonia. It was a huge STEAM festival. Over 600 teachers were there in different workshops. And then I had to manage. So I decided to send Telepresence or my robotic body there. And you see that with my colleague, we have a nice conversation. And then I drive around the classroom. And somebody now is joining me. I hear somebody called in. Hello, you have to turn around to see me, but otherwise you can use your arrows actually, but please don't disturb me. But when you check the, I can't mute you because you are free. Okay, I can't mute. Okay, you see, now we have this robotic teacher. What can I do now? What can I do now? I can do something you shouldn't do with the real students. I'm going to take his neck from his neck and I will turn him around, or let's take it here. Okay, where is my student? He left, unfortunately. Okay, we shouldn't do with these real students. Let's wait for another person to call me. Okay. So anyways, when you check the picture on the right, it was so cool to talk. I was talking, what are the perspectives of being telepresent? How good it's for students or teachers being in the hospital or being isolated or having other serious reasons. And then one participant told me, please show us how you are going to drive towards the wall with the maximum speed. Do you understand? Do you understand what will happen? Like I was, I don't know, from the circus. And then I felt that, yeah, maybe the technology is even more mature than people when accepting this technology, you know. By the way, it has sensors. It has optical sensors, so I can't drive against the wall unless I switch them off. I have a speaker, I have a microphone. You see, now it's called Robomorphism. The robotic body is kind of your new car or something. You will enhance your presence with your robotic body and you start talking. I have wheels, I have microphone. No, I don't have. The machine has. So it's also something that could be considered, whether we have vocabulary, what should be considered appropriate, what should considered not so appropriate. And yeah, there is maybe the more serious discussion sessions. Here are two professors discussing between of them something so serious. And also some facts for you to discover later, where the telepresence robots are usually used, what is their capacity. Oh, somebody joined me again. Okay, and what are the prices? So for education, currently the prices are like 300 euros or something per one robot. You can start using them in normal life. Of course, there are cheaper versions and more expensive versions. And now I can show you some situations. So in the middle, it's a cheesy selfie situation. So everybody wants to do a selfie with the robot. But on the left, you see a normal teaching situation, as here in Tallinn University, we started already using the robot during our teaching activities, and you most likely already understood that there's a situation. Let's count on 3 to form the collaborative pairs here. And on the right side, you see the situation that everybody is sitting, and also the robot is sitting and listening to the lesson. I'm not going to read it here, but you can check later on slides that what science literature has to tell about pluses and minuses about Telepresence robot. And there are definitely a lot of weaknesses still because the technology is emerging. And we can think, let's suppose the robot is 3,000 euros. It is expensive. Is it so important that somebody will take part in the lesson or not? But on the other hand, if we don't just have really genius math teacher who has to be away from the teaching one semester, maybe we can think what is more worth, whether the teacher or the robot. So you can't calculate it so strictly. Okay, hello, somebody? Hi. Okay, and now, last but not least, there are definitely some pluses and there are definitely some minuses. And pluses are definitely there when somebody can't be present physically. And of course, you feel being present. And you can feel yourself so present that you are going to have fake memories that you were there. But on the other hand, the technology is expensive. And I would say, no, it's again Robomorphism. As I wasn't able to be physically in Estonia on Tuesday, somebody had to pack me, the robot, take to another building, and the weight of the robot was 12 kilos. Okay, not so much, but still, the robot is not able to move like some autonomy, some car by Tesla. So somebody has driven the robot there. So the body still, I would say, needs to be improved to be more independent. And the most critical for this type of robots is Wi-Fi, because you have to have good Wi-Fi yourself and you have to have good Wi-Fi in the environment where the robot operates. And last but not least, we do interesting stuff here at Tallinn University. And you can check out it by joining our Facebook page. And also there are some logic behind our EduSpace lab. Feel free to replicate. So there is no need that every educational institution will buy everything. Maybe if you became interested in this Telepresence, maybe one community, maybe one city can buy one. And then you can start developing this innovation. And maybe if somebody is in real trouble, then they can borrow that robotic body. And then you can be still there as a teacher or as a student and do the teaching and do the learning. And there are some trailers you can check out later on. And in case you want to be part of that, you are warmly welcome to our digitally transforming teachers summer school in Estonia, and we can do all the cool stuff here. So thank you from my side, and the robotic body left me. Bye-bye. She's driving somewhere. Okay.
So that at least 3 people managed to get in your EduSpace, in your wonderful, wonderful room for hybrid education. They are reporting back. They had a good experience with you.
Yeah, I forgot to show you that Cyberbullying is also the risk. You saw what happened in the seminar, yeah? What they were making.
Yes,
Yeah.
we were not clear setting the rules that microphones should be muted. Janika, by the time some questions might arrive, currently I can't see any questions directly addressed to you, but I do have one question. I remember when we started working on hybrid education, you were the one who at a certain point told us that there are some points when a teacher is forced to do hybrid learning, like he or she has some learners in the classroom and some online, but she or he doesn't have any conditions to do that. The teacher should say, no, I won't do that. I'm not sure that all the teachers can afford to say no to their head teachers or to the ministry or whoever. But my question is, what would be because you have tried out so many types of microphones, so many types of cameras and displays and screens. What would be the minimum technical requirement for a teacher to engage or to involve at least one learner online? So somebody who has to stay at home for some chronic illness, not necessarily for COVID, what would be the minimum necessary requirement for a classroom to have efficient learning in hybrid formats?
Okay, thank you for that question. What the Telepresence robot gives you, it gives you autonomy. You have your physical body, you have your private room, and you have autonomy to move around, to lower and reduce the voice. Yeah, hello there. But sometimes it's not necessary because not a lot of movement happens at the classroom. And I would say that when stopping hybrid and starting with the physical presence classes, then of course it reduces the workload of the teacher, because if you can't allow two parallel teachers, one from teleconferencing, another for the physical place, then of course it's easy just not to do it. And maybe the easiest, absolutely the easiest solution for the teacher who wants to start giving high quality lectures again. Yes, Tiina, it's not about money. Yeah, it's not about money. Sorry, just some comments from Tiina. I would suggest that there is some team or Meet or Teams connection, if it's possible. And there is one student in the classroom responsible for the remote student. And so the student will take this tablet. I would suggest tablet, not the computer. And then the student will be the robotic body of remote student. And then also the remote student will have the sufficient autonomy. And at the same time, the workload of teacher is reduced. And the teacher doesn't have to think whether I will be now disappearing or appearing, or I don't want to stare at the screen. Maybe I want to be teaching. And we can divide the work like that. In case your neighbor is missing, please be a robotic body for your neighbor. You might have the different socioeconomic background. You might not have the tablet, but maybe your neighbor has. And then it's the problem, not the problem, but it's an opportunity for the neighbor. The parents can drive by. The parent can give you a tablet, please help my son or my other children go to school. And then it's not anymore the problem of the teacher. Of course, I like the hybrid teaching, but without the proper equipment, it's not possible. It's not possible. And I say, please stop teaching the teachers then. Please give the robotic body to the hands of the neighbor, the classmate, and everything is well again, if it was answered.
I'm checking if there's something in question and answer. There's a technical question, Janika, if you have time to answer it. What happens if more people want to go in the robot?
They will get just notice that the robot is busy or there are no free robots online. Nothing happens. But as I told, there is opportunity that in case one body already in the robot, there is a place on the menu that you can send the link to others, and then more people can join and see the room through your eyes. So like in museum maybe, or some I don't know, visiting somewhere or introducing places. I don't know is it good enough, but it can make the solution like 5 times cheaper, if I can say so. So 5 missing students can take part in one robot.
Wonderful.
At least with this version we are using here at Eduspace Lab.
Okay, so try to collect 3,000 euros. Can be collected in the school, I guess, but it can be also be spent in several other ways. So yes, it's up to you, but I mean it's up to everyone the decision what technical tools we use. But as Janika said, and Tiina also emphasized, not using any technical tools is not an option anymore. And thank you, Janika, so much. And this topic will be somehow raised also by Dóra in a very different way. But I give the floor to Alpar because we agreed that Alpar is going to introduce you. Thank you, Janika.
Thank you, Cilla. From a very technical presentation to a less technical topic. Our next presenter, as Cilla said, whom we warmly welcome again, Dóra Aczél. She's the founder of the Grund Community Association and the founder of the Yuppi Camping Motion Association in Romania. She's also a journalist and a blogger. Her educational projects are less digital and more outdoor and also experience-based. But from the perspective of her well-defined educational views, it is definitely hybrid and innovative, I think. But the most important thing is that they are entirely child-centered. Today, Dóra Aczél is going to have a presentation with the topic S.O.S, Save Our Souls, I'm a Camp Leader Online. Dóra, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Oh, after these 2 wonderful presentations, it's really hard to say anything clever. So I thought that maybe I will present my own experiences, how we organized our first online camp. And this is how I actually met Cilla through his son, his very little son. So I'm starting the presentation. You have to know that I'm not a good tech thing. So let me share screen. Yes, I think I'm doing right. And now I am doing the presentation. Is it visible for everyone? Okay, thank you. I'm just coming from a camp. So this week is our camp at the farm. We have a ranch and the topic is animals. It's not a very creative topic, but one of our child camper wrote us that she has an idea and we had to organize this camp because it was her idea. So I am a camp leader. This is what I do with all my heart and all my soul. This is why my teenager years was actually spent in camps. So I just decided that maybe grown-ups can do camping as well. So I just I upgraded myself to be a camp leader. Okay, Grund School. What is Grund School? Actually, Grund School is a place, a physical place as well, but mostly an intellectual place where we create experiences to allow children, parents, and teachers to learn together in a way that complements traditional classroom teaching. We invented that why not do camps, because camps, it's really quite accessible. Let's do camps during the vacations, all the school vacations we are doing camps. And our method is actually learning by doing, which is experiential pedagogy, which means that we put the children there and we create the hub, we create the circumstances that the children can have experiences. And this is what we believe, that this is the most effective way of learning. If we talk about Grund, I just brought a picture from before yesterday's gardening program. If Grund would be a picture, it would look sort of like that. It has dirt in it, it has kids in it, it has sunshine and nature, and they can dig, they can touch, they can smell, they can look, and they can talk even with each other. Or like that, which is actually a very, very simple program. Let's draw some leaves. So we collected some leaves and we just painted with the children. Our keywords would sound like this: dirt is good. So we are not quite hygienic, but in a good way. Rain can be survived. Even today was raining all day, but all the children were outside on the ranch because everyone had gummy boots and raincoats, and they were really happy to experience the rain itself. The biggest treasure is the world around us, which we together have to take care of. And of course, we are part of the nature, but we don't rule the nature. And we have to, we are giving this view to the children. And I must say that we are alive from 3 years, and we have some children who are really coming back all the time to our camps, and they really have now this view. They are really precautious about nature, precautious of how they are using, collecting selectively or doing garbage. They are really green thinking already. And they really like to touch, smell, listen, and see. This wasn't like that from the very first time. We have to learn. We have to teach the children how to do this, how to touch, how to smell, how to listen, how to see. And yes, gummy boots are a must-have. And then COVID came along, and COVID-19 pandemic, lockdown, which meant no touch, no smell, and no social interaction in the way that we used to get social interactions. But we had a camp already under organization, so we had to decide, the organizational team had to decide what do we do with this pandemic and lockdown and no touch and no smell and no social interaction situation. So we decided that we should make an online camp. We had 2 weeks to put a fully organized offline camp to an online circumstances. This was the first time when I heard what is Zoom, because I didn't know what is Zoom. I thought that Zoom is only that we are using on camera, let's zoom in and zoom out, but I didn't know what is Zoom. So we had to learn a totally new system. We adults had to learn during this 2 weeks of organizing. But the most important question of ours was that who are the kids? Who are we organizing a camp for? If they are using gadgets, and if they are, what kind of gadgets? Telephone, laptop, tablets? How old are they? Are they digitally alphabetic or analphabetic? Can they use the phone or the tablet or the laptop? And can they use it independently, or they need their parents to be around? And another very important question is, what kind of program should we offer? It's a camp. So it's not something, it's not an information we have to give out, but it's a camp. We have to do it something together. So what should we do? Our most important guidelines were that online is just a tool. So let's do it like to be just a tool. it's just another dimension. We are not going out to the ranch or the farm, but we are using an online world. How can we get there that they should touch, they should smell, they should listen, and they should see? And all the programs were tested before we provided for the children. That means that our own children were kind of mice there in front of the laptop when we were testing our programs. And we had to decide that, and we had to experience how to use it Zoom without to minimize the interactions they have to do. So we just provided one single Zoom link for each day, so they don't have to click all around. And we had to think that not only kids are the problem, but the kids also have parents as well. So we were starting to make discussions with the parents. We write some really detailed letters of how to use it, what to be prepared, how can they prepare themselves and the kids to join the online camp. And we even made an online parent meeting where we showed the parents that how to use the platforms. And we assured the parents they don't have to be around. And the most important guideline of this online camp was the trust. We trusted the children that they will be online. We trusted the parents that they will prepare everything what we need for the programs to be going. And we were trusting in each other that we can manage the situation. So this was our program. That means that actually 4 hours per day we could hold the children there. We just made one single online link for one day. And as you can see in the program, we have breaks. These are really important things because breaks are the place of the socialization, and the kids are wonderful, and I have all my respect towards them because they really managed it. We didn't have to say anything that this break is just for you. They just figured it out, and they really socialized like a normal kid do in a normal circumstances, not even online. So we made home treasure hunts. They had to find some stuff in their homes. We made them move, we made them smell, we made them touch, we made them listen, and we made them see. We made dance together with them. We even made music instruments through the screen. And every day you can see we had animation programs, and I will show you just one very little video of the animation program because it was really interesting that they can do it just based on the information they get from the screen from us. Of course, we have conclusions, and we didn't get so big friends with this online stuff. We still love to organize camps where we can smell the children, and they are really stinky sometimes. We can see them, we can face the conflicts with them together, we can talk to them like real life, but we can do, if it's really necessary, we can do an online camp as well. For very little children, like 5, 6, in some cases 7 years old, they are too young for online camping because they don't have the necessary digital alphabetization to understand that the screen is not just a tool, but there's a person behind. So their attention is not that captive. And yes, breaks are the most precious in everything. So I'm really sorry that in this conference, like at the moment, we are not there physically, because I want to drink a coffee with you and meanwhile to chat, because they are really important, because there is the place for socialization. It's a really hard word, I'm sorry. We never have to forget that parents are crucial supporters or demotivators. Always count on them and involve them and inform them. So education is not only about teacher educates the children, but it has to be a common something, teachers, children, and parents as well. Yes, and truly, nature education, science, and experiments can be done online as well. Every day we had some really, really simple experiments, what the children could do at home, like, don't know, put an onion in a jar and see daily how big they grow. This is an experiment, what they can do even if they are living in flats. They have onion, they have jar, they have water, they have eyes, and they have nose to smell, to touch, to see. I don't have any more. Yes, I do have. So, innovative learning environments. I really truly believe that innovation is happening inside the brain, and the environment just gives the hub, actually, or accelerates the innovation to happen. And the innovative learning environment is not a physical space, but most importantly, an intellectual and emotional space. It's really important that it's not only intellectually, but emotionally as well, because it's based on trust, it's based on game and common thinking. Okay, so I think I messed up a little bit of these pictures. You can see this picture. This is happening in our camps where an adult is bringing children. And this is what we did online. This is a screenshot from online cooking. We did cooking as well. You can see that every child does their work because it's fun. And they show to the screen what they made, what they realized. We had to trust the kids that they are going to do cookies and they are going to be edible. And as you can see in the middle, it was edible actually. Okay, so it could be online, it could be offline. The outcomes are really, really similar. And this is, I want to show you an animation. It's made in our online camps, but we are making animation not only on our online camps, but on our offline camps as well. So I just want to show you a very, very simple one. We explain the kids how to do an animation, and they send back to us what they realized, what they could do. So this is just one little video, but this kid was making animation first time in his life, and he was using Play-Doh, and that's all, and his telephone. And we showed them, we explained to them how to do it, and he realized first time in his life an animation like that. There are much more wonderful animations as well. Sorry, I didn't want to do this. How can I go to the next? I wonder.
It should be the space. Try the space.
The space. Okay. Yes, thank you very much, Jill. And this is another animation made in our one of our offline camps. This is the space is in the ranch, but as you can see, the outcomes are not that much different. Okay, I don't think I have, again, sorry. Thank you. Yes, I managed. Thank you for your attention. I really look forward to answer your questions if you have any. This was my presentation. I don't know, I don't think it was 20 minutes, but if you have any other questions, just please let me know. I'm a little bit tired because I am really coming from a camp, and today was a cooking day with the Granny Commando. We had six grannies coming, and they were cooking together with us. So I'm a little bit tired. I don't really decide if the grannies are the one who are more tiring or the kids, but
thank you, Dora. We appreciate so much that you came and presented. And I'm here to testify that this online camp was just as good, or I don't know, because we live far away, unfortunately, from Dóra, so I could never send my kids to her camp, and I was kind of envious to all the people living in the western part of Romania. But then when the COVID era came, we took the opportunity, and my son subscribed for her camp, and it was really such an experience. Dóra, it was one of the best experiences of the lockdown period. And you know that we got a postcard from you, which is framed and it's on the wall of my son's room. So it really worked. But until by the time that somebody saying that it's an interesting camp and their children would also enjoy it. So you might consider organizing more online camps for kids living far away from your place. But until that time, you mentioned that you are doing animations also in the camp. You're doing it with the kids' phones, obviously. You use stop motion studio, or at least that's what my son learned from you. And it's really big fun. Those who have small kids can download and try it out. This is not advertisement, just it's really good. And you mentioned you use it also in your real camps. How do you decide how much technology you use in your real camps?
I'm not a technology expert, and I don't personally. If I get a good program holder who can do an animation, that the focus is on the animation and not the gadget itself, because if I give the kid this, they are not opening stop motion because of their own sake, but they are going to open YouTube or Minecraft or whatever. So I really like using technology, but only if I have a good program holder for that. We are banning children to bring their phones with to the camps, because it's much more distraction than we can face, and we don't want to fight with the technology. But I really do like to use technological stuff. Like, I don't know, on the online camp we did our first newspaper, and that was an online newspaper. And until then we are having journalism in our camps. If it's technology or not, I don't mind. The most important thing is that what do I want to achieve with that? If I want to teach children how to make alive an object, then I'm doing animation. But if I want to teach children how to write an essay, then I might not have to use technology, because why? We have some old typewriting machines in the camp, and they are using it. Because after this online camp, we had a digital detox camp. So yes, my answer is that what do I want to achieve? And I am really happy to use technology, but only with the people who really get to, they are conscious about that technology is only a tool and not a purpose.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's what do I want to achieve? That's a really important message, I think, wherever we use technology, in school, at work, wherever. Thank you so much, Dóra. We are a little bit ahead the agenda, so I really hope that Sini, you're with us. Sini Kuha is our next presenter, and thank you, Sini, for accepting the invitation.
Yes, I am here.
So nice to have you here. Sini is a teacher at the Christian School of Jyväskylä in Finland, and she teaches most interesting subject, home economics. When we invited you on, or actually when first we visited your school some years ago, we had the opportunity to go to Finland. I was thinking that when was the last time when home economics was part of our school curricula? And I think that it was at least 100 years ago when some girls' schools had on their curricula home economics. But we somehow dropped this subject, and I have the very strong feeling that it should urgently be included if we want to keep health, and if we want to the health of our children, and if we care about well-being. That's a really important subject, I think. So we are listening to you. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Okay, thank you. I will start sharing my screen, and it will also be taking a little bit of time, so bear with me.
That's fine.
Okay, you should see it now.
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
Okay, it's really exciting to be here, to hear all these new innovations and ways to do it. Online camping, I cannot think bearing it or giving a whole day of online teaching. It's so wearing out. So I'm really appreciating the work somebody else has in her heart. But what I do is I'm going to share you the innovative environment of home economics. And since there is already or has been shared already a video of my classroom, I'm not sharing the same experience, but rather telling you how the environment and being there will affect the way I am teaching and what kind of things we are learning in home economics. It's not just baking, it's only the tool to learn something deeper, and I will tell you about it. So how we study. This is a picture of my classroom. It's a nice bright colors and lots of stoves. We study based on skills. It's learning by doing, definitely. And it's also project-based learning, where I am not telling that you make a pie, but I am telling the kids you have to make something, and they decide the whole process. And it's one of the most liked subjects because it's rewarding and inclusive. It's not the teacher who's telling, but it's the kids who are learning by themselves and deciding by themselves. What we study, we have 3 contents. It's divided in 3. Food culture, which is, I can tell, it's the most wanted content. If we're not making food or baking, I will get complaints. We also study living together. And this we learn mostly by doing something together. And then we evaluate it afterwards. And then also consumer everyday economics. It's home economics, so it's also included. And where we study, the classroom is a lifelike environment, but we also study by the books. We study on the internet, online, and our own family tradition, how it's done in our family, in our culture. We have a multicultural school, so there are many ways of doing it. We compare it often. Basically, what you already heard, learning can happen anywhere. When I get involved with my own learning as a subject, not as an object, when teacher tells that what I need to learn and how to learn it, it becomes effective and enjoyable. And that's what we are aiming for. I want the kids to be happy. Like today, we had some wonderful bakings. We made some churros from Spain and some, I can't remember what kind of food we made to go with that. A busy day, but it was enjoyable for everybody. Tomorrow we're going to sell some bakings and make real money out of it. So it's learning can happen anywhere. We have 3 sets of learning goals in home economics. So 3 contents and 3 learning goals. First, we want to, a first set is practical operational skills, how we do it. Second is collaboration and interaction skills, how to do it together. Third, information management skills. Where can I find the information? Which source will be the best one? So content, and then the goals of learning, why we do it. And the environment affects quite a lot of these learning goals. Each set of goals is divided into subheadings: organizing work and evaluating how did it go, then handicrafts, how to do it, how to use these, use resources, environment safely, time management. We only have class time. 45 minutes is the minimum. Usually we have something like 3 classes in a row. So it's an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes. Hygiene and safety. And then collaboration and interaction skills are conversation skills, how a diverse group interact together, what are the strengths of a diverse group. One big thing, and which is not included to all of the teachers, or not all the teachers want to give this to the students, is how to make decision. But if I do it by myself, if I tell that, okay, today you're a team of 4 or a group of 4, and you divide the work like this, then the kids will not learn how to make the decisions. So that's one of the things they are learning. What is a fair way to make decisions? And the 4th one, the D, is reflection on the effects. We chose to do it this way. What will happen at the end? Should we do it this way or the other at the end, the next time we get to make decisions? Or should we change the way we speak to each other? How to have better conversation skills? And the 3rd group, which is probably the hardest one to have in class, because, well, they want to make the cookies, or they want to make the food. So the kids don't really want to study information management skills, but it's the 3rd part which I am required to teach the kids, and they are and evaluating afterwards. So how to find and use information. It doesn't need to be books, or it doesn't need to be online. It can also be, how can I interview my grandma? What kind of input can she give to us? Then problem solving skills, that's my favorite. Yesterday I had a test for my, kind of like a final exam for my 7th graders, and they made a shopping list for me. And I dropped out one of the things they wanted to have. So I made the shopping, and they had to solve the problem. They wanted to make a pie, and they didn't have the berries. What to do now? Some of them went to the store, asked for a permission to buy it, and some of them changed, what they were doing without the berries. They changed it. Oh, teacher, do you have some pears or some fruit? And they changed it to that. So problem solving skills, that's my favorite. Not the kids, but mine. And then sustainability, on evaluating the choices that we make. So all of these skills you can see there. All of them are practiced when we are in the classroom. It's a lifelike lifelike kitchen, except for we have 8 stoves. And whatever we do, I try to emphasize today, you will focus on handicrafts, how to use the knife, use it properly. Or then I say that, okay, today you are making pie, but instead of focusing on how to make the pie, you will have to do different kinds of decisions, and you will reflect on how you made the decisions. So these are the goals we are going for. And bear with me, my next slide is a lot of text, but I will try to explain how does it differ if we are learning by doing in this environment, home economics environment, or instead we are doing the theory only. And this was something that I had to consider when we went to a lockdown and I didn't have the kitchens. I, by myself, I was living in a home at the moment where we didn't have a kitchen. So I couldn't assume that if I give a task for a child to make cookies, that they will have a stove. So I had to change the thinking. Okay, even if you don't have the means, you will have to learn. And this is how it differs. So when we do something in practice, or we will afterwards, or we will really have to organize it and evaluate how did it go. But if you don't have a real kitchen, or you will not do it as planned. Sorry, all the pictures are on top of the text, so I will make my paper. So what you will do is make the plans and explain how it will go, but you will not really know if it will work. It's just estimating. With handicrafts, you will learn how to do it, but if you don't have a kitchen, you will only see a video about it, somebody who knows how to do it. Using these resources environment safely, you will read about it, evaluate it. With time management, maybe you plan a schedule. It's on the paper, but not in real life. And for hygiene and safety, I will, in the classroom, I will make sure everybody washes their hand, but at home, without the environment, you will just watch a video how to do it properly. With collaboration and interaction skills, well, we try the conversation skills. If you don't have real life 2 hours to talk to each other, you will maybe make an exercise, just like learning a language. You will have a topic and talk, and then make an exercise of the conversation. With diversity and strengths, you talk about the strengths each kid has. That's important, but you will not put it maybe in practice. But here we will actually have to see, okay, I've done it 7 times, it's my strength. Can I teach it to you, teach it to the others? Yes, you can. Not just talk about it. Decision-making skills, you can just learn about it, how to maybe have a scheme, this is how it will go. But when we're in a home economics class, we will actually make decisions and reflection on the effects. You might write an essay about how to reflect things. With information management skills, I don't see so much of a difference between doing it in home economics and doing it without the kitchen or work, or without the actual environment. You find the information in both of them, problem-solving skills, you imagine how we will do it. sustainability, and evaluating the choices that are made, well, you learn about it about the same way. So there are big differences, but also same kind of things. If you don't have a kitchen in your class, in your school, you can still do this, but it's different. It's not as rewarding. You will not be the most popular teacher. Okay, here's in practice what we do. This is a screenshot from the video that was shared to you. If there's theory only, you can do this in math. You will learn that 5 milliliters is a teaspoon, and then you will see the picture of this teaspoon. You will know all the measuring cups, all the measuring spoons. When you go, you learn. You can also do this learning by doing in your regular classroom. You take the measuring spoons and the cups, and you measure it. Pour in water and see how it goes. But then to put it in practice, learning by doing, making a project-based, PBL. I usually just use PBL, so project-based learning, sorry.
That's it.
We actually make a pie, and then we compare. We have 4 kitchens. We see what the others did. We compared, oh, how come yours is so soft? You have it sweeter than ours. What's the difference? We apply it to real life and then realize you will actually need to be consistent with measuring. If you just scoop a little bit, it will be different from over measuring it. And by the way, this is my first home economics class for the 7th graders when they started. And I think this is my maybe a couple of years ago, this pie was made, and it was amazing. I liked it. So applying to real life brings it really alive. It motivates and makes you the best teacher ever. What we've done? Well, every day or every week we do meals, cleaning, laundry, something like that. A few times a year we have a bigger project. Like the second picture is from a dinner party. It was real life experiment. We sold some tickets to it, and I think we got some reward, like 700 euros of it, and we went to Hungary. So it can be really, there's a big reward. I can't imagine having one like a trip like that myself when I was 14. We might have something small, some kind of smaller project attached to it, like video of processing meat, how to cut it, make a video that you can, well, I've shown these videos to my next year classes. Okay, you can go and ask them to teach it or watch it here. I will not teach it, but the kids are making the videos so that the others can make that learn from their videos. And then there's a garden plot. It's right outside my classroom, and we make a small patch there, very small one, every spring. And when we come back to school in August, that's when the school starts in Finland, we will dig out the potatoes and cook them. So it's really, really learning by doing. So that's the curriculum. What can we do? Different kinds of projects. But how will it affect the teacher? Here is a graph of a teacher, 3 roles of a teacher. If you are like me, a subject teacher, you have expertise in content. It's the traditional classroom thing you are good at, teaching what you know very well. It's on the vertical axis. And if you are just telling the others, well, this is how we do it, there you should have breaks in between and conversation with kids, then you are expertise in process. You have expertise in process, and that's the horizontal axis. You are a facilitator, process consult, and we can come to you and ask, okay, please tell us what to do. Well, if you're doing it project-based learning, you're most likely coaching. And then you have expertise in teaching and also know the process of learning. And then learning by doing happens when you're coaching. I'm not giving the answers to the students. I often say, what do you think about it? What's your solution? Go find out. I only go there if really needed. Like yesterday, we had an incident. There was a knife and there was a kettle. And then I started hearing the banging. And then I saw the knife wearing the air. That's when I went in. But other than that, they're learning by doing. So I let them learn. I let them fail, because it doesn't matter if they fail, for example, cooking the pasta, if we are learning the scheduling. The scheduling might be a full 8, a full 10, but well, nobody eats that pasta. It doesn't matter. So in home economics, advocating the learning process becomes important. And for your information, I'm also teaching history, and I'm teaching social studies, so this can be applied there as well. The environment is not just as inviting or as tasty. So coaching is the thing I'm heading for. Innovative environments in home economics is good. Lifelike surroundings help, but it will not solve all the future problems. The key thing is how we interact with each other, how we learn to be human, because future is for human interaction. The machines will take over the processes that can be coded. So what is human? That's the most important thing, and that you can learn by doing. Okay, that's the lot of me, the most of me, and time for questions if you have some.
Thank you so much, Sini. You mentioned the video. I'm informing the participants that we are sending out a longer video made by Sini, with Sini, where she is driving around or leading around her classroom, the viewer. So you can watch that video. It will be, the link will be included in the post webinar email that will be sent to each participant tomorrow. So thanks a lot for joining. By the time we are waiting for questions, I still have one. So I have this experience from Finnish schools that there's not excessive noise. There's not, or at least I haven't. Well, you might have.
You haven't been to a home economics classroom.
Well, that's my experience, that I've been to 3 schools and there was not excessive noise. I couldn't see much or any furniture destroyed. I couldn't see any graffiti in the school proximity. And I was thinking how these Finnish kids are so well behaved, but that's not my question. My question is that obviously safety and responsibility, as you emphasized, are so much important. And however obedient the Finnish kids would be, I'm sure that there are also in Finland kids with problems, with difficulties, with difficult background. How do you assure, so when a child comes to one of the classes who obviously doesn't have this background of responsibility and safe use of weapons, actually, because you're using knives.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you deal with what? How do you assure that everything will be fine?
Okay, we have the luxury of having the whole 9 years of classes in the one school. So when the student, I teach in the upper middle school, or what is it? Well,
Lower
7th
secondary. Yes.
Yes, 7th through 9th grade. So I can consult on the previous teacher. And on my first class, I will collect all the knives away and see how the kids do. And then after they do prepare this, it's really popular, this making the first time making a pie on their own. So I will get to know during that three classes, I will get to know how the kids are. Okay, I can see a social master there. There's somebody who's very lively, and I can go and talk to them afterwards, see how they are, and then we can talk about the responsibility of being in this classroom. It's quite effective, but as I told you 2 days ago, there was an incident in my classroom, but usually I know the students who will be some kind of a threat. So I can keep an eye there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. And as I can't see more questions, we would like to thank you so much for joining. And I'm sure that people will enjoy very much your video as well. It's really fun. And I know that there are some initiatives in some schools. They try to do like a local curriculum, cooking class or home economics class. And I think that teachers who wish to implement such projects can get lots of inspiration from you. So thanks for sharing the video as well.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And now our at last but not at least at all, our last presenter is Koren Balázs Koren, who's a teacher, a father of 4, and yet normal. That's what you. That's how he introduces. I would never dare to say something like this, but I was quoting his blog because he also runs a blog. So he's not only a teacher, but he's doing this kind of lifelong learning about education, and he's inspiring lots of teachers and also lots of parents to dare to think differently about the education of their children. So thank you, Balázs, for accepting the invitation.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Then I'm sharing my screen. Hopefully you can see it and you can hear me as well. Perfect. And that's a good combination. All right. Thank you very much for being here and inviting me. It's a pleasure, and it's been great to listen to great presentations and learn a lot by listening. So thank you very much for all the presentations prior. I don't want to hold you long, as being the last presenter in a series, it's always a good thing to do. And basically, what I picked as a topic of this presentation is not necessarily positive, because what I'd like to talk about is a failure which we encountered because we developed an application which didn't succeed. And so therefore, I'd like to share the story of We Are Math, what we developed, what we did, and why it was a failure, and what we learned from it, because failures are there to learn from. And this is, I think, one of the most important things in education, that we teach our children to fail. Because nowadays, what they hear and what they see all around them are success stories. Startups which make millions or billions, people inventing stuff which gets picked up, influencers who basically don't do anything but become millionaires. So these are all stories which they see, and all the failures, they are just hidden and put away, and nobody talks about them. So that's one of the reasons I picked something where I haven't been successful, but that's life, and therefore listen to it. So what we did, we basically, and this is where it connects to the topic about learning environment. What we did, we decided to create something with VR, because back in the days, Google Cardboard were introduced, and these were a cheap solution to put your smartphone in. And when you put your smartphone in, you could use VR. So you don't need or didn't need back then great technology and expensive stuff, just basically cardboard, 2 lenses, and you were free to go. And what we did was basically we created very fast a prototype in mathematics, because me being a math teacher, that was the obvious solution and the obvious choice. Let's bring mathematics, 3D mathematics, into the virtual reality. And first of all, we started with VR. This was a prototype, and then we implemented AR later on. By going to talk about that part as well. So this was the early prototype running on a smartphone. This is how it looked like, a cube put into the VR environment. And very early we started, and then later on, this was a much better design, as you can see. We put a giraffe next to it, a virtual one, and you could move around. You could go inside the cube and experience shape as it is, highlight vertices, edges, angles, faces, so on. So basically learn anything which was possible in the 3D shape. So this is, as a math teacher, I was very glad that I could be part of a project like this. I invented different shapes and what to include it. The programmers did their job, the designers did their job, and it was running ahead like never been tomorrow. And we went into some schools. You can see this is one of the schools where we went into. They tried the app, they liked the app, so it was running smoothly as possible. Sorry to all the interpreters, I put in 2 extra slides. This was I know mean from me, but I couldn't hold myself back. Sorry for that one. This slide existed before, just put some links in the beginning, at the end. So we got lots of nice feedbacks of the application. We didn't imagine it. The objects were really here. This is all what students did after they tried the application. And not just that, we got an invitation to various international programs, like we exhibited at the BAT UK. We were invited to the Dubai Future Accelerator program, where we spent 2 months in Dubai. Then we visited San Francisco. We went to Asia, to Singapore. Basically roadshowed around the globe as invitation to show the program, show the application, how it runs. So it seemed to be something which is amazing, which is a great success, but still there was a problem. And the problem was that myself as a teacher and as someone who has been a classroom teacher, I brought it into my classes, tried it out with my classes. We talked to several other teachers and invited them to try it, but it was just a bunch of people who were basically friends and friends of friends, or friends of friends of friends, even further away. These were all people who somehow had a connection to us. And we mostly got positive feedback because people are nice, even nicer to those who know you. And if you don't know someone, then you can be much more cruel. But we put the application in the Play Store, in the App Store, so it was online, it was available. And we even didn't get much negative feedback. It was one problem happened, and one problem was there were few materials. So we had basically approximately 12, 16 different types of application, types of problems available in the application. And in there, we had several different subtasks, which could be variated, which could be randomized. So basically, we could say there were infinite number of problems, but to be honest, there were only 16 different types of problems available. And if we look at the curriculum, 3D geometry is basically not the most used topic, at least in Hungary and in many other countries, basically all around the world. So we picked a topic which needs virtual visualization, because in 3D vision and in spatial view, you need something which can help students really feel the problems and feel the field. So this was a good point where we put in our application, and it was a good product market fit in this sense. But in that sense that when we were running to people who could invest in us, because this is something where you are at a certain point of development, you enter a point where you need funding. And this is where the problem happened, what we faced, that all the venture capitals who we were talking to, they were looking at the curriculums and they said, okay, that's good, that's what you did. But what we need is it should be aligned to the curriculum, and we need people who use your application, not just 1 or 2 or 3 weeks in a period, but align it to the curriculum so that they can use the application on basically at least every 2 weeks' time. And we were not ready, we were not fit to that. But then we came up with a solution which could have helped us. And this solution was, first of all, we had another trouble of using VR because, and then this is the point where I can link to the learning environment and the learning environment problem which we faced. And this was basically the most challenging part and the most interesting part in a teacher's point of view, the whole problem. And this was using VR in the classroom. Because once you use VR in the classroom, you basically hide your pupils behind the glass. So it's like you see all your students like this, and this is all what you see from your student. And when you just look back to the time of the pandemic, the biggest problem which we were facing is that we were just looking at pictograms and not real students, and we didn't have eye contact to other students. So basically, using VR is a way of losing the eye contact, and this is something which weren't really helpful. The other problem with VR was that you cannot use VR for a long time because the eyes get tired. because the students feel dizzy if they use VR for more than 8 minutes. So we even put a reminder in the application that after 8 minutes, you have to put it down, put it aside, and then after a while, you can put it on again. So this is, again, some trouble which we were facing. And another trouble was there is no collaboration because you hide one person behind one VR glass. But for this one, we had a nice solution because the teacher had a separate device. And when the teacher was looking at an object, it was highlighted in the pupil's device and you could talk about it. So this was basically the collaboration part was done. But another trouble was that using VR, you cannot share a device because you need one device, one goggle for every child, one smartphone for every child. These needs to be charged. So these were all troubles which made it again very difficult to use the application in the classroom. So theoretically and bringing it into some classroom, it was all nice and great. But when you put it into practice, you face these kind of problems on a long-term use. And then obviously we were coming up with the solution, and the solution was to move away from VR. Although this was the reason we started it, because we've seen VR as a solution, as a nice environment to have an immersive experience in 3D space, looking around and experiencing space. But since we had these problems, we decided to move away from VR and move in the direction of AR. In AR, there was no more hiding the pupils behind a VR glass. You had eye contact because there was nothing in between you and the pupil. And it's great because you don't need a device for every child, because they could have look at a screen together, move the object around. They could use a tablet, for example, not just phones were the ones which could be used. And more schools have tablets, obviously, as teaching devices than smartphones. So basically, this could have been a solution to all of our troubles and all of our problems, but we were too early with VR because VR wasn't ripe enough for education because of all the troubles. And if you look around right now, you don't see these VR glasses anymore. There was a time when they boomed, came up, and now you barely see any VR glasses anymore anywhere. I have a few at home, but none of them are in a regular use. Well, the problem with AR was that it's basically with AR is that all the big players were had an advantage. Like, for example, GeoGebra was way ahead in AR development than we've been or we ever could have been. And basically what GeoGebra did in AR is amazing. And it's like when you look at someone who already invented the wheel, you won't reinvent the wheel again. And obviously with all the community behind GeoGebra, we were no players in the game anymore. So this was basically a trouble which we were facing. We've seen and we tried to move in the direction of VR, which seemed to be a nice solution on paper. And theoretically, it was amazing. Our application was nice. And I'm still proud of all the development which we brought into this development to make the application. But when we brought into the field and we experience all these troubles, we had to be honest to ourselves that this is not the way, not the direction where we are heading, and what we want to achieve and what we want to do. So what we learned from all of this, what happened and what we did, and what are the benefits, because as you see it right now, this is more like a failure. We tried something and it didn't happen and we weren't successful. Basically, I had lots of great friendships which appeared and which came out of this. And this is one of the things where I'm very helpful and glad we jumped into this project. One of my best friends is basically from this time. So this is something which came out of this project. And this is, I think, important to say, and it's important to talk about it, because we are human, as we've heard from previous presentations, and human interactions and friendships are important. In education, you cannot leave all these behind, because there are pupils, there are human beings, even if we use technology in front of us, and it's important how they are related in the classroom as well. So one of the important experience outcomes of this project is some friendships. But obviously there are lots of other outcomes which are great. I got the opportunity to talk at great conferences and events like this, thanks to this application. So this is another great outcome of this project, and lots of other opportunities were raised while the application was still active. I've never been in a small team like this effective as the team behind VR Math. And we had lots of troubles when you do something on your own, and when you try to achieve a goal yourself, it's something where you experience various different problems from what you achieve in a classroom. And one of the most important learning outcomes I got in this project was that theoretically lots of things work, but if you bring something into a classroom, it can break. It will break in the classroom. So many times we talk about different learning frameworks, different technologies. We do experiments in a small amount, and we write articles about it. We go to conferences to talk about it. But at the end, the most important part is how these work in a living classroom, and how these work on a long term in a living classroom. Because VR Math is a great example which works in one class perfectly, which works in two classes very good. After a week, it's not that good anymore. And this is the point where you have to look, not to focus on one specific classroom, not to focus on one try, but try to focus on a long term and try it out with various different groups and look for the long-term effect of something. And this is, I think, one of the most important learning outcomes of VR Math. If you want to have a look, the website used to be vrmath.co, but it's got taken down. We took it down. But then after a while, I decided that I make history of this. So with the XYZ ending, it's the historical website. I think none of the links work anymore, but you can see the team. We got quite a big team to a small compared to a small project, and you can see how this was all set up. And what's interesting that until the day now, I get some emails, people asking whether the project is still up. So there is an interest on 3D geometry applications, but this is not the one which we are going to develop. So thank you very much for listening at a late hour to my struggles and my experiences. I hope it's helpful that you can survive a failure, you can close a project, not just with success, and you can learn from all the failures and learn all from this, because if I'm starting to do, and I might start to do something else later on, I know what not to do the next time, and now you know what you shouldn't do if you start a project. So thank you very much again.
Thanks a lot, Balázs. We are expecting questions from the audience. It was such a nice presentation to end the conference. Yes, we tend to listen to success stories of as if life was only success, and this made our conference even a bit more realistic. While we were listening to you, and you were blaming, not blaming, but saying that there are no VR glasses anywhere, our colleagues who are supporting me here and whom I would like to thank, Kati and Erika, we should start your cameras, we can see you, were really putting strange eyes on you, because we also have a project with VR, and it's practically like yours. It can work in small environments, but it will never be general. So we use VR for bullying workshops, anti-bullying workshops. We try to make use of this immersive feature of the VR, that it makes you feel in a certain place, and it makes you feel in someone's shoes. And we made short 360 videos with mild bullying situations that children can watch for a couple of minutes. But then, yes, we fully agree with all of that you can't do it for a long time, that technology is not well prepared. Like we were struggling to order the proper phones that work with the goggles. My colleague Erika was banned from one electronics shop because she kept sending back the phones which were not suitable for the VR project. But I agree with you that we have to go on experimenting with these new and immersive technologies, also because kids have lots of fun. Have you ever met any kid who later on who used your application? Like, have you talked to any?
Yeah, it's basically for those who tried it, they liked it and helped them to see in 3D. So most of the time, for example, in 3D geometry, you ask in math, okay, imagine a cube, connect the two opposite vertices, for example, and there is going to be a diagonal, and it's like, okay, where is the diagonal? How do I do it? Where it is? And once they put on the glass and are in VR, and they can look around and say, okay, that vertex to there, and there is the line. Well, this is great, and this really helps. You can do the same thing in AR, for example, or you can just grab straws and put in together a cube, an S of a cube, and then connect them. So basically, there's several different approaches to this, and it might not be VR in this case. This is fun to look around, but if you do it with straws and the kids make the cubes in the classroom, it might be even more helpful. It's not 21st century, not an amazing stuff to do it, but still the same purpose, and they get a good understanding of 3D. So sometimes you have to look around, and it's not necessarily technology or the newest technology which is the one which will succeed in the classroom.
Thank you so much. If there are any questions, this would be the last moment to ask them. Thanks, Balázs, for joining. Wish you success with your next projects as well as with teaching, and the same good wishes to all our panelists and presenters. And I would give the floor to Alpar to say a few administrative aspects and then to say goodbye to you. Thank you on my behalf.
Thank you, Cilla. It's just my classical announcement that Katalin has posted the evaluation form that is accessible. We will send it on email as well, but you can access it now as well. And we would like to ask you to fill in the whole Google form with correct data, with your name and institution name and the email address, because all certificates will be sent via email in PDF format in the upcoming days. From the behalf of the Teacher Training Center, I would like to thank all our presenters and all the participants for being with us. Hopefully that it was everything was useful, interesting, and I see you and we see you on the next webinar somewhere in September.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all 180 people who joined us today. Thanks a lot. See you next time. Have a great evening. Bye.